Our adventure today is going to take us up into the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. We will explore the back roads of Loomis, Penryn, Newcastle, and Auburn. To understand the history of our foothills, we will first need to jump back in time, 150 million years. The best person to tell us this story is Sierra College's Professor of Earth Science, Richard Hilton.
Okay, if you go back over 100 million years ago, when dinosaurs were roaming the earth, the area that we're in here in Rockland, Roseville, there was a huge mountain range here, a mountain range that would resemble the Andes or our Cascade Mountain ranges of the Pacific Northwest. The actual beach would have been probably somewhere in the middle of the valley, and there would have been volcanoes above us. So at that time, the seafloor was diving under North America as North America was coming westward. The mountain range would be above that diving seafloor. And the seafloor brings down with it a lot of muds and sands and water. And what happens is water tends to lower melting temperatures. So once you get it deep enough, we get these large masses of molten magma. And magma is a liquid rock that's underground. So it's a hot, glowing red fluid underground. And we get miles of this stuff, and it migrates up into the core of the mountain range. And it might be 20 miles across this molten magma. And then it takes literally millions of years to slowly cool off. And as it cools off, it grows crystals. And that's what forms our granite. You notice when you see a piece of granite, it's speckled. And it's speckled because you can see the hornblende, and you can see the feldspars, and you can see the quartz. These are all minerals that have grown in the granite when it cooled so slowly. Now above the granite, there would be faults, there would be cracks, and hot fluids from the granite would go into those faults and cracks. On the way up, it might go through what we call a sulfide zone. Some of the rocks that were scraped off the seafloor have metals and sulfur in them. And the quartz, which is going to be within these hot fluids, has about the same melting temperature. And it's going to winnow out minerals, and one of them is gold. Gold and quartz have about the same melting temperature. So this quartz and gold goes up as a fluid into the cracks, and then in the cracks it cools and it crystallizes. The quartz crystallizes out separately from the gold, but they're intermixed in the same unit. So most of our bedrock gold comes from these quartz veins that have come up into older rock. Now locally, we have had some of these granitic, what we call plutons, becoming solid after a very long period of time, and then another pluton melting into it. And that's the case here with the Rockland pluton. It melted into the Penryn pluton. And sometimes what happens is you get cracks in the older granite, and quartz comes up with gold there. So we actually found quartz veins in granitic intrusions, in granitic plutons, here in the Rockland, Auburn area.
Over the millennia, the ancient peaks would erode. Plutons of granite once buried thousands of meters under the ancient mountains would now be exposed to the elements. Gold that was once locked in the veins of quartz would be freed. The precious metal would be swept down into the streams and rivers of the American River Basin. Considering the massive plumes of granite, most of the gold, however, would remain locked in veins. Marked in yellow, one can see the wide distribution of gold veins in the Ophir and Penryn districts. Gold held no value to the Nicean, Miwoks, or Maidu people. For 5,000 years they built their villages along the streams and rivers of the Sierra Nevada mountains, foothills, and valley floor. Their population numbers can only be estimated. For the whole state of California, anthropologists have estimated numbers from 250,000 to just over 1 million first people. In the Sierra Nevada foothills, even before direct contact with European explorers, settlers, or miners, the Indian population had fallen dramatically due to epidemic diseases. Tribes in other parts of the state who did have contact with Europeans probably spread deadly diseases through trade or even chance contact. By 1849, the native population for all of California may have fallen to as low as 50,000 individuals. Sunday morning, January 23, 1848, John Marshall had been sent by John Sutter up into the Sierra Nevada foothills. His assignment was to establish a sawmill. Inspecting the trail race, clearing out any gravel or debris, he and his employee, James Brown, made a discovery which would change the course of California history: gold. By wagon train or ship, head for California. The 1849 gold rush had begun. Over a dispute on where the Texas border should be drawn, the United States declared war on Mexico. The war ended in 1848 with Mexico ceding large portions of her western territory to the United States. In 1850, California became the 31st state in the Union, a free state. The 49ers who traversed the Great Plains developed a deep fear and hatred of Native Americans. As the 49ers arrived in the Mother Lode, they found the Maidu, Nicenian, and Miwok people living along the very streams where the miners hoped to find El Dorado. Once reaching the gold fields of California, the fact that the Indians of the Sierra Nevada were peaceful and posed no threat made no difference to the miners. Peter Burnett was California's first governor, elected in 1849. He was characterized as politically aloof. He favored heavy taxation of foreign immigrants, exclusion of blacks from California, and worst of all, turned a blind eye to ethnic cleansing of California's Native Americans.
That a war of extermination will continue to be waged by the two races until the Indian race becomes extinct. While we cannot anticipate the result with but painful regret, the inevitable destiny of the race is beyond the power and wisdom of man to avert.
1851, a federal commission attempted to halt the brutal treatment of California's first people. The commission made an offer of 8.5 million acres of land in compensation. California's politicians in secret succeeded in having the proposed treaty rejected. 1853, California begins forced relocation of California's first people onto isolated, harsh military reservations. Additional laws were passed allowing for the forced indenture of Indians. As a result, Indian children were kidnapped and sold as indentured servants. By 1900, stripped of their United States citizenship, the population of California's first people had fallen to 20,000. For those wanting more information on the history and culture of the Maidu people, a visit to the Maidu Museum and Historic Site is a must. Visit our website, drycreekconservancy.org. More videos on our region can be seen on YouTube/user/MichaelStark1 or user/rosevilletv.